Hello, and you are back in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. This is our 59th episode, and today we'll be discussing how they can't bump Trump and prove that migrants matter more than veterans. So, we're going to get right into this. Super Tuesday was on Tuesday, of course, so it was 2 days ago, and Trump had a slew of wins, won basically every state except Vermont and D.C. Haley won those, but it doesn't matter that Haley won those because she bowed out of the race. So, Trump is basically the presumptive nominee. He's basically a cinch to get the Republican nomination, so it's going to be most likely a Trump versus Biden situation. And I would say what the establishment wants is they want Biden to win, and then maybe a couple of days to a couple of months after his second inauguration, Biden's, if he does win, they'll get Kamala in to replace him, and then they'll I doubt they would try and run Kamala as her own candidate. I think they would just have her because she'd be much easier of a puppet head. But regardless, that is if Trump does lose again, which I don't know. There's a lot going for him, right? In terms of just how bad the economy is, how one of the biggest issues is immigration, and Biden is being seen as responsible in the eyes of a lot of people, of course, for trying to blame Trump for this border crisis and the migrant crisis and all these sorts of things, but it definitively rests on Biden's shoulders just how bad the country is in the eyes of a lot of people. Now, I'm saying his current administration has done a lot of bad for this country, but this is really just compounding on issues, and of course the state as an institution inherently just makes things worse as it's based on theft and extortion. Anarcho-capitalists are going to rant about the government all day, but that's just one thing, is that Trump basically pushed Haley out of the race. The globalist establishment was like, we can't keep pissing money away on this, so we're just going to redirect that money to the anti-Trump ads that we're going to run on him, and push that money into basically trotting out the corpse that is Biden. So it's weakened at Biden's too. They need that budget. So that money that they were going to spend running Haley's failed campaign is going to go towards weaken at Biden's too, which is basically what they're doing. So there's that, and there's of course the fact that he can be on the ballot. So it was a 9-0 Supreme Court decision, so he swept that as well, basically. So Trump is definitely this, I'd say, larger than life force, and he's going to remain that way until after the election. If he becomes president again, it'll just be absolutely hilarious. Now, do I think things will get better? I don't know, slightly. I think the economy will improve, but we're definitely not going to have this this bifurcation of the American culture and this polarization, this division. It's going to get worse regardless of who wins, because these this track that we've been going down has been in play for quite a while now, and it's just both sides are going to use whatever the result is in November to embolden their own sides. But the whole thing is that Trump is going to be this force that remains until at least the general election. Because he's a cinch to get the nomination. He's got too much, of a base, his base is around him. You can't really be a member of the GOP and not be a Trump supporter, basically. That's how it is, because his base is pretty strong, and he's still in this, and he's definitely in it to win it. And then if he does win it, we'll see how a second term of Trump plays out. I do think it'll be nice because they're going to be very distracted on taking down Trump instead of the average person, so that gives us a little bit more breathing room from the deep state and all these shenanigans. And of course, I think Trump's going to be a lot better in terms of he'll be less explicitly authoritarian than this administration has been, so that would be a nice thing. But regardless, just want to mention that Trump for now is this not unstoppable force, but a force that is definitely to be reckoned with the Supreme Court win. He can stay on the ballot. The fact that he swept Super Tuesday so hard that Nikki Haley got kicked out of the race. And although I think they were setting that up, they were saying, oh, she vows to stay in the race until at least Super Tuesday. And then of course Trump wins basically every state, over 90% of the delegates basically his. And the funny thing is, Nikki Haley bows out of the race and says he's going to have to convince my voters to vote for him. What voters? No one cares about Nikki Haley. Just a complete plant. And Trump just plucked that weed fruit to the side, and he's basically all in to get the nomination. I think it's like sometime in the summer, maybe around August, maybe a little bit earlier than that. But in the summer, Trump will be basically the nominee. We'll get nominated for the Republic to be on the Republican ticket. He'll pick his running mate, and then it will just be a bunch of autistic screeching until November, and then the election will happen. And if Trump wins, everything they said that the evil MAGA Republicans and QAnon were doing to try and delegitimize and get Biden out of office, they will do. For sure. But I think I've ranted on that topic long enough. If you're sticking with me, thank you so much. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we're going to get into the second topic. So I've got this article here, and this second topic is about how migrants matter more than veterans. And I will prove this to you with this article from Zero Hedge. Homelessness rises among veterans for the first time in 12 years as immigration crisis escalates. So this article, it's a bit long-winded, so there's a good amount of stuff to do, but a good amount of information. Of course, as always, when I talk about articles, link will be in the description. You can peruse this as much as you like. But I want to go over the main talking points. The main talking point is that Housing and Urban Development, HUD, details a 7.4% increase in veteran homelessness between 22 and 23. Of course, years that Biden was in office, and of course you got more than 35,000 veterans that are homeless on any given night. And there's more than just you have these migrants coming in and they're just giving all the money, the resources, and attention to them. It's the fact that a lot of these people have, veterans have post-traumatic stress disorder and other physical injuries that make them harder to get and maintain employment. And of course, you've got so much red tape with getting anything from the VA in terms of medical care or employment help that a lot of people just check out. A lot of veterans will just check out from getting those services, even though they are entitled to them for their service. And you would think, as an anarcho-capitalist, that I would hate all the military men. I talk about the American Empire and all themselves, but it's really the higher up. It's not the soldiers that actually serve in the military that I have the problem with. It's the military as an institution. The people who serve in it get into a lot of them just get into it as a job for the benefits, and that's all understandable. It's just that if you get into the military, serve a tour or two in Iraq, Iran, wherever, whatever third world country they decide to ship you off to, you come back a very damaged, broken person. The VA isn't going to be there to help fix you. A lot of jobs will try and hire veterans and all these sorts of things, but it can only go so far if you fundamentally need this medical care and attention that you just aren't getting from the VA, and also all these resources that the federal government can't really give or focus on because they're more focused on importing people in at the border. So it's just this, it's a compounding factors of the fact that a lot of veterans inherently have issues with maintaining gainful employment, which means that they're going to be less fiscally secure, which means they're more likely to lose employment and lapse into homelessness. And then you've got the fact that the resources to, help them through their their issues that make them less employable are not nearly as present, because you have all this stuff going towards the migrant crisis. And this is in general in terms of, you go to homelessness shelters and all these sorts of things. So this affects the general homeless population because you have all these migrants coming in and they don't have housing, they don't have resources like citizens do, so they're draining the system. And that the homeless population uses. And I believe this article mentions that about 12% of the homeless population are veterans. So you've got, if you increase that population in general, then the people who were already homeless before are going to have less to go around. So there's a lot of compounding factors. It's not just immigration. I want to make it like this is all because of immigration, but the issues there is that there are a lot of issues as to why veterans are homeless in terms of, the services that they can access, in terms of the things that push them into not having and being able to maintain gainful employment and all these sorts of things, as I did mention. And that compounds with the fact that you have this migrant crisis that the federal government is intentionally pushing onto the population to destroy this country. Right? You cannot have a country without borders, right? Like I said, anarcho-capitalist. So I don't really like the idea of a centralized country, but we have one, and you cannot have a centralized country without borders, and we would be much better if we had this current country with an enforced border. And the federal government refuses to do that, and there are a lot of reasons why that is happening. But it's really just to push this globalist agenda, this one world government, and you do that by destroying the idea of what a country is. And you can't have a country without borders, so if you get rid of the borders, you get rid of the countries, and then it makes it much easier to push globalism on the people. And of course, all the people who were willing to fight, willing to serve this country, who were the patriots, they get pushed into the military, they get absolutely broken, they become homeless, and then there's nobody there to help them when they need help the most, because miles of red tape to get anything from the VA. And there's no guarantee that the VA even has the funding to do these sorts of things because of just how messed up the federal government is in terms of all the spending and all the things that they'd rather be spending money on. So it's just a ridiculous situation. It's very unfortunate as well. So it's really all I really had to say about that. But this is just more proof that the federal government doesn't care about you. You can literally risk your life. You can literally become disabled. You can have severe mental health issues, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, push your nervous system to the point it breaks because you've seen so much traumatic shit in war zones, and the federal government can't even be bothered to give you the help you need so you don't go homeless. And that is a reality for a lot of people who serve this country in the military. So if this country can't even stand by its own uniformed service members, what chance does it have standing for you? And that's why a lot of people have checked out of supporting this country, being patriots, because the demographic that could possibly do it has been told time and time again that we don't like you, we don't like your way of life, and if you get in the military, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to throw you to the side when we don't need you anymore, and we'll say, hey, you can go to the VA, but it takes so long to get anything from the VA that it's just not there. And that's why the recruiting numbers are down. That's why the military cut jobs, because they can't get people into the military, because the allure of what America is as a country from the perspective of being from the perspective of that being associated with the federal government is gone. I think a lot of people like the ideas of the founding fathers and this country's history and the general American culture, but that being associated with the federal government is been long gone. The federal government no longer really has that sway towards people anymore, where it's this institution that's worth supporting. America as a country, people want that, but people do not want the federal government to be involved in that at all. Now, of course, that doesn't mean they're going to be on board with a national divorce or decentralization. They think, we can reform, I can fix them, sort of thing. But not possible. Decentralization, national divorce is the only way to go. This is the only way we're going to save America, if it can be saved. And I think with that, I've ranted long enough. Thank you for sticking with me for this episode, and we'll be back next week with episode 60. Head into the outro now. Thank you for being in the Velvet Room with Joker the Fool. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, whether you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, or Substack. And be sure to subscribe to my Substack, velvetroompublishing.substack.com, to keep up with Machine to Man and all my other projects.